That's the thoughts right now, Bestie.
Wait, just wait. Bessie, you don't know anything. You don't know anything.
I really don't. There ain't nothing in my head. I'm stressed.
You're stressed. You're stressed.
Yes. Yes, I am. Whether it's about this book or otherwise. You may continue.
Okay.
I sent you my reaction now.
Okay. Oh, I can't check that on my computer. I have to load it up on my phone, which means I have to close the book on my phone. Yeah, that's accurate. So, the night Robert was convicted, they were supposed to take him to the prison. Outskirts were hearing everything. He was found hanging in his cell the next morning after they delayed the transfer. Ain't no fool gonna believe that man really hanged himself when he was desperate to get any appeal. He was gonna seek out true justice, not go down like that. I never could find out what really happened. I hope you do. Trust me, they do. A couple days later, them babies were walking home and Victoria stopped by here. I was beside her when her phone rang. Kyle called Victoria, telling her he could get her in to see her father's body since they said they couldn't release it. The sheriff said they weren't 18, and since there was no one of age to claim the body, the city had the rights to dispose of it. I got that taken care of later, too much later. Victoria had dated Kyle. Cough, cough, I was right. Gave that boy more of herself than she should have. He wasn't too happy when they broke up, but he didn't show his demon right away. He was manipulative and calculated like that. She'd only dated him for a few months, one of her few boyfriends she'd ever had. Her daddy talked sense into her when he heard how Kyle talked down to her. She never said why she broke up with Kyle, but Kyle had never given her a reason not to trust him. Not until that night. I'm gonna tell you now, the reason why she broke up with him is because when her father tried to stop their relationship because he noticed how manipulative he was towards his daughter, he slammed a locker door into her father's left hand, breaking it. Which is important.
Hello?
Which is important because later on they'll learn the original serial killer in this town was left-handed. And 2 kills happened after that incident. So therefore, there was no way he could have done the kills. On top of the fact that there's he has airtight alibis every time. Good times. So Victoria went to meet him, and Marcus caught up with her, wanting to see his father as well. They needed answers. No note was left, no goodbye was given. He just died, and they slapped suicide on there. Jacob was not with them for once, and thankfully neither was my boy. And then Diana starts sobbing. I should have been thankful when those babies suffered, but I was so glad they didn't get my boy too. And then she explains Kyle that boy was pure evil. They met him at the end of Belker Street, and he wasn't alone. He brought several volunteers with him to help him punish the killer through his kids. Belker Street is where the message about the Rans, or the angels, the very long one from the last one, was written. Right? They jumped them, got them down on the ground, stripped them bare on the middle of the street. After that, they took turns on both of them. She starts gagging, so that's fun. Donnie, who was there with Logan, questioning her, is turning white. He's oh my fucking god. And Logan, let me tell you, he's not into it. You ready to learn how many boys there were that night?
No. No.
13.
I should have sat down.
Anyways, she says Dev, couldn't go through with it. He stood there though, and he told me the story after it was over. The boy was so twisted up in the head, he was sent to therapy for over a year. Then he joined a church ministry group that traveled over the country, spreading the word of God. He's how I know. So, we learned in the first one, from, 2 people, when Lana and Jake go to that restaurant where she's pretending to be a hooker, and he's pretending to be a blind man, and they sit next to, the 2 other of the people, right? 2 of the 12 at a restaurant. And she learns from them that, because they think Dev may be the killer, right? They learn from them that Dev, because she does have plans for him, not to kill him, but do something, because he did just stand there and do nothing and watch. But she learns from overhearing their conversation that the reason why he didn't do anything is because they threatened to do the same to his sister if he tried to stop them. So, and that's why, right? Um, so she explains it was going on over and over and over. They didn't stop. They laid on the street for hours, bleeding, screaming for help. No one came. But that's not even worse of it. So the worst offenders were Lawrence, Morgan, and Kyle. Oh god, okay, I don't want to give you details, but this is important on why she does certain aspects, right? So, they got bored. Just a moment of silence for the fact that they got bored? What the... Anyways, Kyle decides to walk in someone's house and borrow a full-length mirror. The people in the house just handed it over, like they didn't know what was going on right in front of their home, and handed the mirror to Morgan, as Lawrence made Marcus stand. So, Kyle had Morgan hold the mirror behind Victoria, and wanted Marcus to see what they were trying to force him to do. Remember the second one, when I said I was scared that there was going to be a content warning for incest because they were going to force him to? Well, they do try. They do try. They threaten to cut off his dick if he doesn't. Marcus refuses. Kyle threatens him some more, says if he was pervert enough to take it in the ass, then he was pervert enough to fuck his sister. Marcus spit in his face.
What the fuck?
So Kyle castrated him right there and then in the middle of the street. From the commotion of that, the mirror fell and shattered. And this is the part where she starts describing the wounds that Victoria had, and the fact that Logan does not connect the dots, because Lana has already described that she had similar injuries, and he does not connect the dots that Victoria had already been beaten to a pulp, her face unrecognizable.
Dumb as fuck. These bitches dumb as fuck. I don't know what to tell you.
I know, right? When the glass in the mirror shattered, they dragged her through it. Then Kyle sliced and diced her some, and then he grabbed a piece of the mirror, showed her what she looked like, and then slammed it into her. His parting words to her were that she'd die a monster and a whore, and left them to die on the streets. And so then Marcus drove them out of the county to give them a surviving chance, because the sheriff owns everything in Delaney County, including the hospitals.
No, because how did she know all this information? I'm confused.
Because Deb told her. Deb saw the whole thing. Because Deb was the one when Lydia May? Is that her name? The other woman who tried to stop this. When she tried to stop it, right? And Kyle said he'd go for her later, and then raped her multiple times afterwards, right? Dev pulled her aside and locked her into a car, and then watched the whole thing happen. They do know, Logan and Donnie, when they leave this house, they do note that after he locked her in the car, he must have gone back to watch everything, and Diana brought nothing up about that. And so how weird that, like, what's going on with that? Like, why would he go back? All this stuff, right?
I got it now. Yeah. I got it now.
So, basically, Marcus, never once thought he'd survive. He just wanted his sisters to survive, but neither one of them made it out of the hospital. And the town lost a soul. We all became hollow shells of who we are because fear ruled us. They asked why she didn't tell anyone sooner, and she says the one who tried ended up missing or dead. Yeah, Lindy May is her name. Tried to stop them that night. This is when she describes them locking her in the car, until they were done. She was married. Next thing I know, Kyle is telling her husband he slept with his wife, that she seduced him. Antonio left her, and no one believed her when she said she'd been raped repeatedly by Kyle. And her dad got her out of town because he was worried she'd be killed next. They threatened my boy. He was on his way to college in less than a year. They told me he'd never even graduate high school if I stirred up problems. I believe them, still do. That's why I sent him to his girlfriend's place. That girl makes a lot of money, and she has the best security in New York. Dottie brings up the fact that most of the kids who did this left town afterwards, and she says they had to. The only way the sheriff could keep people afraid but still living here was to banish everyone but his boy from this town. His boy's the worst of them all, but he ain't getting banished. But don't worry, he paid them boys off real nice. This is when Donnie and basically the FBI learn that Kyle is the son of the sheriff. Then Donnie's like, no wonder he covered it up then. And she says he orchestrated it. The sheriff did. He had his deputies go to each and every house and said if they heard something to stay inside. If they failed to comply, there'd be consequences. He even sent out a broadcast to our TVs telling us there was an immediate curfew. No one out.
Why? What the fuck is going on?
No one out past sunset until told otherwise. He helped his son plan this out, then let him do what he couldn't stomach to do himself.
What?
Donnie asks why. Like you. And she explains his daughter was raped, tortured, debased, and shamed even after her death. As far as the sheriff was concerned, Robert Evans was the man who did it. Killing the man wasn't enough for him. He had to go and shatter his kids before killing them too. Said the world needed to be cleansed of the devils it bore. Yet he never sees the evil in his own son's eyes. Even that boy's mama knew he was no good. Good times. She explains who Dev/Devin is. He was the judge's son, which is also why, yeah, you know. She gives them the full list of every single one.
Bestie, I'm trying to load the dishwasher, and I have, have you seen my little pink bowls?
I think so.
Well, I got it. Okay. Because you know how water will make a seal,
Mm-hmm.
It got stuck on the bottom of this other bowl. I was like, oh my god, please don't be stuck.
Oh, yeah. She gives them a whole list of all the people, explains Jason, one of them. I think he's one of the only ones that I think he's the last one alive, other than Kyle. Says, Jason is Loris's cousin. Then they decide to ask how their mother died, and she says, this is a fun time, ready? She died in a car crash. A rich couple from a few towns over collided with her after they got drunk at a party. Their last name was Carlisle, I believe. They orphaned their own daughter with that wreck and killed a damn good woman who was just trying to get home to her kids after a long day at the hospital. And so Logan asked if she was a nurse, and she says no, she was actually a coroner for the same hospital where the kids died. I figured that's one reason they also chose that one. Their mom was a loved woman with a lot of friends from there. You know of any rich couple who died in a car crash and left an orphan daughter who happened to also die in a car crash in the same area, whose identity Lana stole? Yeah, it's the same fucking people. The girl whose identity she stole after she died and pretends to be her happens to be the daughter of the couple who killed her mom in a drunk driving accident. Let me tell you, when that revelation happened, I'm pretty sure I messaged you freaking out around that time.
This is so fucking insane.
So they decide they need to find Devin. And she says he left part of the way through his lockup. Through it to lock up. Oh, no, this is where they figure out, that, he must have, gone back after locking up Lindy May and all this stuff. So they decide Johnson must know about this because there's no other reason why Kyle would be put in protective custody, right? But they need more than one woman's word, especially since she's not an eyewitness herself, especially since they're taking down Johnson and the director. So they're going to need solid evidence, and what really killed Robert Evans is a good idea. So they start questioning why Kyle doesn't have the same surname as his father. And basically they figure out Jane Davenport, which is why his last name's Davenport, was the mother. The sheriff didn't know Kyle even existed until Jane showed up in town one day with Kyle in tow, and she handed over custody. Hadley dug all this information up. Kyle is a sick fuck, starting torturing and killing animals at the ripe age of 5. Right? This is when they start suspecting maybe Kyle was the original serial killer, because that serial killer behavior. By 7, his mother decided she couldn't handle him. He had a tantrum and cut her with a knife. So she took him to his father, who was all too happy to take away all her custodial rights. And she stayed in town watching her son grow up from a distance. They asked where she is now, and she died 10 years ago, shortly after the trial of Robert Evans. Which I believe is not a coincidence. I don't think so either, but I don't know, because that's not one of the details I get in this book. Not your mother being home. Tell her to leave. Even just silently listen to me do this. Just hope your headphones don't die. Oh, written on the town hall is the more red paint, right? Saying it is difficult to free fools from the chains they rear, which is a Voltaire quote, which is important because that's her thing. And now, so throughout the town, they're like, on like electricity poles and whatnot. There's also speakerphones from them. And throughout the whole entire town, and from them, music starts filtering through, saying "Hush, little baby, don't say a word." That whole nursery rhyme. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. Yeah. People start freaking out. So, Logan thinks that the killer wants the town to confess, and is there because the FBI there. Otherwise, he would have killed the last name on the list that isn't in this town that he came when we did. So, Lana is hanging out with Jake, in technically his father's hunting cabin, right? And he says that he's gonna watch Diana's house in case they make their move, thinking that they're gonna try to attack her. Right. The FBI came through and did a sweep of all the cabins, and then Jake set up a temporary headquarters in his father's cabin. Oh, there's a baby. Okay, I send you more. Yes, that's a dog. I don't know if you could hear her groaning as she laid down. But here you are. Here's another dog. Just a dog. Sometimes you need to take a break. Oh, you couldn't. That's sad. Sometimes you need to take a break from this depressing as fuck book. To look at dog. So we learned that the person singing the nursery rhymes and the recordings that going through the town is Lana's mother. I think her name was Jasmine. Yeah. Yep. So it's her mother's voice singing from a church service. And so good times. They're watching the town and see the sheriff turning a precarious shade of white, hearing the music play through the speakers. So Lana threatens that if Logan gets hurt in all this, she'll fall over that edge and forget what it's all about and kill without prejudice, or whatnot. And Jake says that he'll bring her back like he normally does, and she says he won't be enough. That's fine. That's fine. I didn't need emotional security in this book. It's fine. The sheriff threatens Johnson, and yells at someone to kill the music, figure out who got into the speakers. They eventually do unplug them, and the plan is to restart the whole entire playlist again every time they plug them back in. So eventually they just won't be able to have the speakers on, so no one will have a way to warn someone else if something is happening in the town. Johnson says that he warned him that it wouldn't be easy, and the sheriff says, "Oh, because I remember you saying that you could control this team. So far, they've asked too many fucking questions, and they're hanging flyers all over my town. It's just a matter of time before someone gets courage to talk." And Johnson says Logan is the problem. He can handle the rest. He doesn't want to say it in front of Johnson, but sheriff makes him. So he says that Bennett and another agent were spotted leaving Diana's house, and they were there a while, and he got word that her son is untouchable right now, staying with some lawyer in New York, and they think she told them everything. So of course the sheriff is cursing, and Johnson tells him to calm down. That's just the ramblings of an old woman. You need proof. There is none, and most of the suspects involved are dead already, so it's not like they can confirm or deny. We need to focus more on making sure there's nothing left that could show what we did to Evans. They say that there's nothing, but Jake says, hey, we have evidence. They just don't know it. They do bring. The sheriff says that Diana could become a problem, and so tells Shad to see that it's not a case that she becomes a problem. Cop killer. Bella, what are you doing? Why are you crossing your legs like that? Ah! God, the heart attack my dog just gave me.
My lord.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So Logan says that they need to visit the hospital that Marcus died in, and assumably Victoria as well. Jake is upset because Logan shouldn't be focusing on her. He should be focusing on the corruption. And they're worried because he could piece things together on her true identity and whatnot. So they have monitors surrounding, covering the whole entire town, right? The cameras across the whole entire town, and she's like, it's like staring at hell all day. So Logan says that Lana needs to go back home. And Donnie says good luck telling Hadley that. And Logan thinks that she is in danger. And Donnie tells him that he's too emotionally invested in Lana's safety. She's actually safe. Not one woman has been targeted, only men. If anything, she's safer than you are. So they decide to go question the lawyer, Robert's lawyer, who is Jake's father. There's also a thing where Jake is sick. Or not Jake, his father's sick. He had to go briefly to go help him out and whatnot. But yeah, his dad's like sick. That's the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole time Logan keeps on getting phone calls and he keeps on ignoring them, and they're Johnson. He believes that Johnson is trying to find a way to throw them off the investigation. Kiki. He's probably already heard we talked about Diana in private. He may be wanting to find out what we know. And so they're like, okay, let's go to the lawyer fast. And Logan's like, sure, but I want to get back before it's too late because I want to like make sure Lana's okay. And Donnie says, call her from the road, lover boy.
Lover boy, oh my god. Every time someone calls a character lover boy, I eat that shit up.
And so then he calls Lana, but Lana's seeing him talking about calling her on the security cameras they have set up. So then she just mutes it and then picks up the phone. It's like, hi, right? She tells him to stop worrying about her. And he's all like, not saying anything, and she's like, what's going on? And he says that she's completely ruins psychology, and she's like, what? And he's like, because you were attacked by a known serial killer because of my job, yet you stubbornly want to stay acting as though the thought of another coming after you doesn't faze you. She's worried that he's suspicious, though he does sound more confused than suspicious. And then she explains that she has a gun, and I don't want to be in her own house. That's what she says. And he says to go back to the hotel, and she says no. And then he has to hang up because someone else is calling him, and so she says, I love you. And he says, I love you back. Yay.
I would hope so. They've already exchanged it a few times.
There's a new message in the red paint on the school that says the lies we tell influences them. The present is pregnant with the future. So Lana says that Logan is leaving town and the sun isn't too far from setting, so she's going to Diana's, and to protect her because she assumes they're going to attack at night. And as she stands, Jake tosses up her knife and she catches it by the handle, as he takes her seat in front of the monitors. Just like a cute scene that, like a sentence and a half that basically shows, how in sync they are. It's very cute, okay? I say about serial killers. So it's cold outside now, so it's perfect for making her hoodie less conspicuous. I love how everything that could go wrong with this episode has gone wrong. Your internet went out. Both our mothers came home at one point. What is happening? What was the last thing you heard me talking about?
Something about paint on the school or something? I don't know.
Yes, there was paint on the school. The paint, with the words, the lies we tell influences them. The present is pregnant with the future.
Yeah, that's the last thing I heard.
Yeah, so Lana decides to go protect, Diana since she assumes they're going to attack at night. Now that, Logan is going out of town, to question Jake's father. She's wearing a
Who is
hoodie.
attacking? I have no idea what's going on.
So many things are going on. Don't worry about it. She's wearing a hoodie, which she's happy is colder, so that she can get away with wearing a hoodie. Oh, also when she showed up in town, she was wearing a red dress. Which, if you know anything about Lana, she rarely wears dresses. And I quote, "I want to return home in style, wearing the color red."
Valid.
She goes around, the back of Diana's house, knocks on the door. So she doesn't recognize her, of course. So she scares Diana accidentally, and whatnot. And so Diana, like, basically passes out. She's like, "Who are you? Who are you?" And so Lana's just like, the best way to prove that it's me is by showing her scars, right? So she just lifts up her shirt, and so she passes out. Good times. Logan is questioning Jake's father. Let's go. So they're like, "We hoped you could shed some light on what happened to Robert Evans." And he says it should be all on record. I'm sure the FBI has access to all that. They say the murder trials are usually taped, but that one wasn't. And he says it was. That's just missing, quote unquote. But don't worry, he has a recording of it hidden in his bookcase. In a book. Like, there's a book with a false book that he has it hidden in a DVD.
What the hell is happening?
And he says that he has others hidden, so they can keep it. Are you still alive?
Yes.
Okay. There's the static thing in the background that says that you're alive stops apparently all of a sudden occasionally. So now I was like, wait a second, did you die? They say the file said it wasn't filmed. It was. Logan explains that they
alive.
realized...
I'm eating peanut butter and the dishwasher's going.
Okay. Logan says he realizes the FBI are probably on his list of people to not trust. But he assures them that they're looking for real answers, and he says because of the Scarlet Slayer, and they recognize that he has alibi, so there's no way that he could be the killer. And they say partially yes, but also because we feel as though the case might have been mishandled, and he snorts. He says, "Sorry, I'm just not used to such understatements being made with true sincerity." Right. So they ask him about Robert Evans, and he says that he was a brilliant man with no ambition to be more than a janitor. The pay was good enough, and he enjoyed the hours because it gave him more time with his kids. He was a simple man who never caused problems, but he painted himself as an easy target for the sheriff who just wanted someone to pay for his daughter's death. Didn't matter if he was innocent. Didn't matter if he had an alibi. Nothing mattered except one man's revenge. Robert Evans was the most unlucky soul I ever knew. He lost the love of his life to two rich drunks. Both her parents and his parents had passed already, leaving him with no help to care for his kids. He lost his life because of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and his kids were murdered for crimes he never committed. Don't see how you get any unluckier than that. So they asked about
when
the
you break it
trial.
down like that, it's
Yeah. They asked about the trial, and he says the trial that shouldn't have happened in a town as small as Delaney Grove. A trial that shouldn't have happened with a biased judge ruling. Do you realize he could have gotten an appeal with little effort? They're like, yeah. And so he says, I don't know what they did to him. All I know is he sure as hell didn't hang himself. He'd already had Hannah Monroe contact him, which is like someone with appealing case trials and whatnot, right? Offering to take his case on appeal and waive her fees. She was going to ruin Delaney Grove, but she's still a hotshot in Manhattan. After he was dead, she moved on and pretended it never happened. They ask about they took a recording of the music that's playing over the sound system in the town, right? And he says that's Jasmine Evans from the play the year before she died. Everyone in town was there. Both the kids were in it, and Robert too, because it was the Founders Day play, and it was the last year the town celebrated it, because the sheriff canceled it the next year because of something that happened with some of his deputies. They just never reinstated it. The same thing, they ask what happened, and he says the same thing that happens when you have a bunch of men too close to power. They think the sheriff is invincible, and by proxy, so are they. I could give you a list of indiscretions a mile long, but on that particular day, it was a fire that was set. The deputies burned a house down with 2 people in it because they went to sell their property for the new town restaurant, a restaurant the sheriff put in after their untimely deaths. They ask what happened to the deputies, and he says Chad Briggs, you remember that guy, and his brother still work there. Founders Day was canceled. Deputies were not reprimanded. The fire was ruled as an accident. It was the catalyst into corruption that only got worse. The people realized they had to do as ordered or suffer the consequences soon. People just learned to pretend as though Delaney Grove was the sweet little hometown the rest of the world thought it was. So they say that they're trying to end the corruption, right? And he says you can hear all the stories you want. Eyewitness testimonies mean death against the entire police force and a judge. They mean even less when those witnesses disappear or decide to recant their statements. If they know anyone else who can help them out, and he says Carl Burroughs, he used to work at the coroner's office. They're about to leave, and he asks if he brings up the fact
how
that
is it physically possible for a book this short to have this much fucking information?
we're only a quarter of the way through. As they're about to leave, he brings up the fact that the Scarlet Slayer paints a wall in red. But that's not something that's shared with the public. So he explains that the rumors of the deaths were spreading like fire before the FBI even ever announced the killer's existence. So they asked if he knows what it means, and he says before Victoria died, she spoke to my son, told him they'd painted the streets with their blood. Marcus wanted to paint the world with theirs. They ask who else did Jacob tell about that, and he says everyone he could. If Victoria had lived, she would have come back. She'd be this Scarlet Slayer you're looking for. That girl's fire always burned hotter and fiercer than anyone else's. Logan says she died and the killer is a man, and he says, I'm aware not even Victoria would be able to physically take these men down. Cough, cough. Right. There's also they notice the medication. He's sick. The doctors can't figure out why he's sick, what he has, anything like that. Other things. It is brought up that Jacob spent a lot of time trying to get anyone to listen about what happened, and no one would, and then the accident happened that made him paralyzed, right? And Logan recognizes that the way that his father talks about Jacob, right, it's like a father who lost his son, not a father whose son is paralyzed, heavily hinting that because his father wouldn't help him get the truth out, that Jacob basically just pretends that his father isn't real. Helps him with his sickness, but otherwise he's just
I would
I don't
do
know
the
you.
same thing.
Right. So, for some reason, the deputies aren't showing up to kill Diana. It's night now. Their thing is suffocating. And then if it's someone Diana's age, they say it was a heart attack. If it's someone younger, they say it's a seizure that was the cause of death. So Diana's trying to make her go against her revenge killing, and is all like the Bible and stuff like that. And Lana's like, okay, sure, hun. So they have silent alarm security stuff around the cabin, specifically the ones where Jake and Lana have their base set up, right? And it just goes off when Justin Hollis, a deputy, on her list, is walking briskly towards the basketball court near the back, near their cabin, and then steps into the shadows. So she's like, that's suspicious, that's weird, so she calls up Jake. And he's on, speakerphone, so Diana can listen to all this. So she's all like, hey, this is weird. Can you figure out where he came from, what he's doing? Because I can't, on the app on my phone, it's harder, right? So they eventually find Justin and Chad. Fucking Chad. Talking. Who Justin and Chad are talking. And Justin's all like, hey, the sheriff said to go after Diana, not them. But Chad is all like, killing Diana is like killing the aunt. But we should kill the head. And they're like, we should cut off the head of the snake. And the head of the snake is Logan, right? Oh, okay, there's 2 dogs now in my room. And one of them's on my bed.
2 dogs? 2 whole dogs?
Hello?
Let me see these 2 whole dogs.
Look at their phone. On the call.
Oh, on the call? There's a dog and a rose.
Hi.
A flower and a dog.
Okay, Ivy's on the ground over here.
And a plant. Is that plant real?
Yeah.
I'm just like, is that plant real?
It's a Christmas cactus.
See, there's a plant, there's a flower, and there's a dog. This is not fair. I don't have a dog. I don't have a kitty cat either. This is not fair. And you have 2 dogs?
I thought Mommy was home. You should be with Mommy.
Why are you complaining?
I don't know. Sometimes when Mommy's home, she does come up. Because she doesn't want to deal with people being loud. So she comes up into my room.
That's so real.
And yet, I remember my adolescence, people complaining that I was the loudest in the house all the time.
In what world?
Almost like I was trying to be louder so I could talk over everyone else. Okay, that's, directly on my computer. Okay, we're just going to be recording like this, I guess.
She needs kisses on her head.
You're very soft.
This is not fair.
I have a heating pad. You want it?
This is not fair. I cannot give a belly dog kisses on her head. This is so unfair to me.
What is this? Hi. Hi.
This is cruel. This is cruel.
I saw a video that was me when I go to my best friend's house, and the person's like, get out of here, bitch, and goes and hugs the dog, and I'm like, you, if you ever came to visit.
Real. You mean visit? I would just need to come out of your wall.
True.
I've been kind of quiet in there lately, haven't I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
I'll make more noise.
Justin thinks that the sheriff isn't going to be happy about them killing Logan. And Chad's like, sheriff ain't the only one at stake here. We all need to worry about these guys figuring out the truth. You think you're ready for prison? Do you see this shit? Do you see what I have to deal with?
Yes.
I'm trying to talk about the serial killer book. My dog's trying to give me kisses.
Because she thinks she needs psychological help.
I do. Thank you.
I agree. You have a cloud bread.
Yeah.
Why are we making that? Why are we making that in the big old year 2024?
I don't know why. Because it's not good.
I've never had it. Because in what world?
It's basically just like egg is like the main flavoring thing. So it's just like eggy.
Like, if I'm gonna eat eggs, I'm gonna eat eggs. Like.
Yeah, that's exactly my thought process. Justin agrees that the sheriff can handle this. He's handled other things. The plan is to block off the road to the cabins. Please do not unplug my headphones. That may fuck up the whole entire thing, Bella. Please, please, please. Oh my god. No, do not lay your head directly on the headphone cord, please. So the plan is to block off the roads to the cabins. Stop her. She's a monster. Hi.
Don't worry, I'll come get her.
Look at these monsters.
I'll take her home with me.
She's such a monster.
Well, yeah, she's got fungus ears. People who have never seen Bella would be like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Block off road to the cabin. Way to the courts. I'll give you the element of surprise. It'll give you the element of surprise, and just far enough away that the others will never hear or see you if they come back before you finish it. Logan is being detoured by said roadblocks already. So she's like, ah shit, gotta go fast. And she runs out there so fast. She's like zooming. Logan's talking with Donnie as they walk to the cabins. And Donnie's words cut off on a grunt. He is on the ground, a little blood running from his mouth as he lies there unconscious. Logan tries to grab his gun, when something slams into his head. He's like trying not to black out and stop and fight back. And then, they take away his gun. He tries to get up, and Hollis kicks him in the stomach. And then one of them takes his gun. They already have his gun, but they pull up his gun, cock it, and aim at him. When Lana, he doesn't know it's Lana. So the Scarlet Slayer comes out of nowhere and bodies them.
Oh.
Right. So the gun falls. Somehow does not go off. Why are all these guns who do not have their safeties on not going off when they hit the ground? Because it's an old thing, even if the safety's on, that it can go off if it hits the ground, if it's dropped. What's going on here? This is not realistic.
I don't know what's going on here, bestie. None of this is realistic. What the hell are you talking about?
Of course, Logan, hit over the head. He's not seeing things properly. Like, things are super blurry and whatnot, so he's trying to figure out what's happening.
You mean a logical thing that happens when you get hit over the head and that no one ever addresses in books? Do you know how many books where people get hit in the head and they just keep on going like, hello?
I know, right?
You literally have a concussion. What's
happening?
Someone
has a possible concussion in this book. Because there's Hadley in the very beginning. No, wait, that was in the last one. Hadley in the last one. But Logan and Dooley? Is that his name? Fucking don't know. In this scene. Basically, he watches as the Scarlet Slayer, takes down Hollis, and starts punching him in the face a bunch, pulls out a knife, whispers something to Hollis, and then plunges the knife into his side, and then, also she's straddling at him at this time, Hollis, and then takes out the knife and thrusts it into his chest, and twists the knife. He swears he hears a feminine laugh as this is happening. Cough, cough. Ah! Not the headphones! Please, please, so close. No, no. Oh my god. Oh my god. Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me?
she does love you. That's why she's in bed.
She's literally in my lap right now.
And you're mad.
Yeah, because she keeps on trying to unplug my headphones. Stop it! Not the headphones! I need those! I don't know if they unplug, if they'll just cancel the whole recording.
At this point, you just need to put the laptop and everything on top of her. I don't think she'd mind.
She would mind. I've done it before.
Well...
She's stuck in this position. You can't move without my permission. Look at this.
Good luck with that. I see.
So, Lana as the killer stands, as Hollis is bleeding out, and Logan recognizes that, this guy is very small. Very small, like, small shoulders, small frame. Nah! Bella! You make this so much more difficult than it needs to be. Right? And so, the figure, uses Hollis' blood to write something, on the ground. And then, she stands and, grabs the knife from Hollis' chest and throws it into his groin. And then, grabs the knife before walking away. Logan's trying to grab for his phone now, but he can't really do anything. And he closes his eyes, like his fingers aren't working, closes his eyes, doesn't know for how long, but suddenly he's awake, because Lana's there, cupping his face.
Yeah, no, he definitely got a concussion, huh?
Bubby, that is where the headphone cord is. We already talked about this. Stop it! Stop it!
She's just being a girl, okay? She's just being a bubby.
I know she's being a bubby, because she's my bubby, but, like...
She's innocent.
She plugs in out my headphones all the time. She's not innocent. I have evidence that that's what she does.
She's innocent. I don't care.
Hi. You're cute. Oh, wait. My legs are covered in dog hair.
That's his life, bestie.
Yep. He tries to tell Lana to run. He can barely see her because his vision is so blurry, but he can smell her and feel her and know it's her by the way she touches him. And she says she's not going anywhere. Other detectives come, and they're taking him to the hospital. And there's too many thoughts going through his mind as he plays the scene on repeat, trying to piece it all together. When he goes, "It's not a man who saved my life. It wasn't a beast at all. It was a woman." At the hospital, Donnie says that it couldn't have been a woman. So the weapon that Hollis used was a bat. Literally hit Donnie across the face. At least one of the other detectives says that she agrees it's not a woman, because a woman would have gone for the gun, not used the knife. And also the sheriff is playing this all out like Hollis was acting on his own accord, and Johnson's backing him, saying they'd already discussed his possible discord with you being here. The director, of course, is saying it sounds like this one-man action, and that we're safe. Still trying to cover it up at the cost of his own agents' lives. You can imagine some people are not happy about that. Lisa
I'm
is
sure a lot of people aren't happy about a lot of things going on here.
Lisa clutches Logan's arm and brushes her fingers over his cheek. And he's all like, "What the fuck?" And backs up away from her. And looks at Lana, who is standing in the doorway with Craig. And Lisa takes her hands away when Lana glares icy daggers at her. But don't worry, the icy daggers thaw when she stares into Logan's eyes. This one has a lot of side plot of Lisa and Lana being very catty. So he's worried that Lana's scared out of her mind. So Craig is all like, "Hey, I think the Scarlet Slayer's the one who saved you. And Hadley stands and goes to Lana. Hadley whispers into Lana's ear something. I'm not 80% sure, something about, you can't kill Lisa. Stop it. So, it's confirmed that the killer left a message in Hollis's blood saying, touch him again and I'll burn the town to the ground with everyone still in it. Good times. So he has Lana come to him, and she's like hesitant, but she makes her way to him slowly. And he holds her to him, and she's like shaking, right? And he tells her that she has to go home, that if the sheriff is bold enough to come after him, he'll go after her. And Leonard's like, probably not. I would like to know, this is the beginning of Leonard studying and looking and staring at Lana in a curious/suspicious expression. Cough, cough. Leonard says she's probably safer here than at home, where Jonathan could use her against you. So, good times. Hadley says that Logan is the one who has the power to stand up to Johnson because he outranks the rest of them. So everyone is on edge because the serial killer had to save him from a sheriff's deputy. Good times. And Lana says that they're in the sheriff's hospital. And Hadley says she checked everything they've done before they've done it just to make sure no nurse or doctor tries to do anything really fucking stupid. Right? So Lana's crying, and he, like, recognizes that she didn't even cry the day after her attack by the boogeyman. And Leonard, like, zeroes on her face, and he's like, oh. And so he's all like, I need time with Lana. So he stands up, and Lana and Donnie, basically, keep him upright as Leonard gets him a wheelchair, to take him out to the car. And the plan is to go back to the cabins, 2 per cabin, take shifts, staying awake. Leonard says he'll stay with Lana and Logan. There's so many L names. Lana, Logan, Leonard, Lisa. Hadley wants to stay with Lana and Logan instead, but Leonard says she should stay with Elise. And he'll stay with them. And that Logan, not on a bunch of payments, wouldn't want her risking herself, especially since he's the primary target. And so Logan has her go off with Elise. Leonard says he'll stay up until sunrise, and then he'll get some sleep, and tells Lana to stay in the bedroom with Logan and yell if they need help. Tells her there's 2 entry points from outside, and to the windows. Pay attention to them in case they get too bold. Gives her Logan's gun. Good times. So Leonard leaves the room, and Lana curls up against Logan, putting her arm around his waist. Like, Leonard is still, like, in the hallway, and watches her, like, basically cuddle up against him. And Logan's like, why is that so interesting? Like, shut the fuck up. Right? Next morning, technically it's like first thing in the morning, Lana is making coffee, and Leonard's eyes are still watching her constantly, right? And she's recognized this. She's like, what the fuck? She asks if he wants a cup of coffee, and he says, no thanks, I'm good, but thanks. She thought initially that he was suspicious, but then he left her alone in a room with Logan and his gun. So then she thought he was a perv, but he turned away abruptly when he walked in the room this morning to check on Logan and saw her in her underwear. So, she's like, I don't know why he's watching unless I'm just that fucking interesting. He starts asking weird questions about her relationship with Logan, and then asks her if she has any family in the DC area, and if she has any family at all. And he's like, is this making you uncomfortable? And she says, no, as an extremely private person, I love talking to a stranger about my past first thing in the morning after my boyfriend was attacked in a town full of weak and evil people. And he's just like, oop, yep, sorry, just making conversation. Good times, and she says, don't worry, Logan.
Are any of these people okay?
No. She says Logan was the same way when they first met, and then Leonard questions that Logan stopped pressing about her past. And she says that she told him important parts, and not everyone likes talking about their past. And she told him more than she told anyone in years, but he doesn't push for more than I give. It's one of the things I love about him. Logan comes out around this point, and so Leonard goes to bed and says all is a ghost town. And Sheriff is standing by his promise that Hollis was a bad seed who acted alone. And Johnson said he's already vetted the rest of the guys, assuring us none of them are hostile towards our team. And then rolls his eyes, and then Logan brings up, yeah, totally. He totally managed to vet over 20 other deputies since last night. Not to mention an extra 5 police officers. So they're definitely suspicious, right? They talk about how they're going to go talk to Carl Burrows, and get some answers about Robert, which, surprises Lana, so she almost drops, her coffee, and the coffee splashes out, scalding her hand. Logan's, like, immediately grabbing paper towels and inspecting her hand closely and all this, stuff, and Leonard's, like, watching it intently.
I fear someone is suspicious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I fear multiple people.
I just realized you said that you didn't listen to most of the voice messages, so you didn't hear the grade 8 voice message about the random, interruption that Leonard does, like, partially through the book, about drug dealing. It's a long story. I'll get to it.
Well, usually I do, but yesterday was the day.
Leonard says, there's something called a haunted house, that night in town. Logan kisses her burnt fingers. Leonard says Kyle will be at the haunted house, says he ain't missing the only good thing in this fucking town because of some cowardly piece of shit killer. His words. She knew that Kyle wouldn't miss the haunted house. He always takes a girl in there whether she wants to be there or not, and fucks her in a corner to the sound of screams that gets him off.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so haunted house is a thing, thrown by the school, technically, but it's like this whole thing that's supposed to use fear tactic to get, the people in the town who follow the sheriff to show them, like, all this sin and stuff, right? And it happens every year on Halloween. Kyle loves it. His favorite part is taking a girl, whether they, accept to or not, if they're willing there or not, and fuck them in a corner as, sounds of the screams of people screaming at all the scary stuff, right?
What the heck?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
People just walk by. You may be wondering, wait a second, if this is, like, in public, why does no one do anything, right? People just walk by thinking all part of the adult show, the haunted house. In the Sin House, after all, so good times, they condition kids to be afraid of leaving early on. The adult house is for 16 and older. Terrifying the impressionable minds from early on is enough. They need to get the rebellious teens submitting to the terror tenfold, upping the haunted house to be over the top. Rape scenes are even played out. Sometimes they were real. And that's where he did it to Lindy.
What the fuck?
Speaking of Lindy, her husband, or ex-husband I guess now, Antonio, already bankrupt. Which is faster than they expected. He's currently losing all his possessions. His car was taken away just yesterday. And she watched it live on her phone. This is where, we learn that Antonio knew that Kyle was lying and that his wife was saying the truth about the rape. but decided to follow Kyle's footsteps because he just wanted to continue to be a highly respected patron of the town. The plan is to basically make him so miserable he kills himself. They're all like, Kyle's so stupid to go out into public at a time like this. And Leonard's like, yeah, but the sheriff is sending 4 deputies with him. And then he's like, just letting you know, and then stares at Lana. So far, there's only 1 deputy who is innocent of the crimes committed 10 years ago, and then the 2 dispatch officers. The other 2 deputies will be outside watching for any suspicious man. They'll never know. Good times? So they're heavily making out on the bed, right? They're like about to go at it when Lisa just walks in. Or no, she doesn't. This is when she knocks at the door. She's like barging at the door, saying, "Just making sure you're okay. I've coffee if you want to unlock the door." Lana's reaction is she really wants to be cut. He says that he has coffee and he's fine. And they start making out again when Lisa knocks again. Lana asks if he's really okay, and he says yes, and then yells at Lisa to go away. She huffs loud enough to be heard through the door, and then basically they bang. They bang in the room right next to Leonard. He's all like, don't worry, he falls asleep fast and hard. He will never know. So she gets cleaned up in the bathroom afterwards, and as she's exiting the said bathroom, the faint music of the nursery music, right? When they visited Jacob's father, he had another recording that he gave to them, which is a recording of the church play from that the nurse rhymes are from, right? Gave it to them, so Logan's watching it on the TV, and Lana's just watching it from the other room crying. Right? Yeah. So then Logan switches it out for the trial DVD, and she just goes into the bedroom, because she thinks she's too vulnerable to watch that again. So you may be wondering, hey, where's Craig? Where's that fucking Craig? So the director called him over to aid in a media thing upstate. Johnson is currently handling all the media for this case. That's suspicious. That's weird. So they're like talking about how the revenge killer, maybe the revenge killer's in the right with all this information they've learned about the town. And Leonard asks if Logan's conflicted, and he says, no, I understand what happened 10 years ago was beyond fucked up. I have no sympathy to victims who found so far. But playing judge, jury, and executioner is not excusable. I also know how these cases go. It starts off as revenge individuals getting targeted, but it turns into a massacre. When the unsubbed devolves rapidly, and anything at all that's perceived as a threat is killed as collateral damage. Right? So Leonard starts asking questions about how small the killer was. And he says, as small as, or someone as short as Lana. I swear to God, this dog is coming back. You can't come back in this direct spot. You gotta go back, in the back. No ruining my recordings. Yeah, he says someone as short as Lana. And Leonard says, that's specific. But says that doesn't explain why he thinks it's a woman, but he does agree that he thinks it's a woman too, and all this stuff. They talk about another revenge killer case, not important. They talk about Caroline, I think that's Leonard's sister, who is...
Why are there so many characters?
There's more, don't worry. She's a small woman, kind of like Lana, but she uses martial arts training to, like, go against larger opponents and win, stuff like that. He says that the unsub could be something similar. All this stuff, which is the truth. Leonard also notes that because the killer has started sprinting through the kills, she could be there in town when the FBI are, and left one alive to return to is a little weird. So she has enough control to put a pin in her agenda just to join them in the town, possibly even watch over us. Good times. And then Leonard brings up that he spoke to Lindy May the night before, and when he told her what they've learned so far, she told him that he only knew about Kyle's victims, or 3 of Kyle's victims, that he was a serial rapist and possibly a sociopath. And they note that he's the sheriff's son, and they've kept them from getting an interview. They realize that they're profilers and could see through him, so if, like, they do that, that's why they're trying to keep him hidden, all this stuff. They think that possibly was the original killer that Robert was framed for. And that's why the unsub has held off on killing him. So they go to Carl Burroughs' house, who used to work in the coroner office area, right? He was training there at the time when everything went down. He lives now in a town outside the sheriff's jurisdiction. So they decided to deal with that before they go and visit Kyle, right? So they're questioning why Johnson would cover up a real killer, like, help a real killer. He's like an agent and all this stuff. And all this stuff. So they go inside. This guy, Carl, is that his name? I don't remember, there's so many characters.
How do you think I feel?
So he starts going, like, they enter his house. He now he wanted to be a coroner, but he now studies, investigative sciences and stuff, basically doing tests to see how long it takes things to decompose and whatnot so it's easier to find time of death on, or decomposed bodies and whatnot. And so he has a lot of that stuff in his house. That mixed with the fact that he's rambling a lot, they think he's kind of a little bit crazy. Right? He starts rambling. He starts rambling about a psychic that he knew helped the police in a case, was able to, like, figure out who, like, never believed any of that stuff. And the psychic figured out who the killer was, gave them an exact description. They track down that exact guy, and they stop him. And they go to, like, check him out, and they open up the trunk of his car, and he happens to have his next victim still alive in his car. Like, they caught the right guy because of that psychic. And so, that's why he knows who the detectives are, because when he heard all this stuff was coming down, right, he called up that psychic. It was like, hey, come help me out. So, the psychic came to his house, and he had him touch the portion of his wall where they had painted some more with that red paint, right? And he gave him the name of the 2 agents who would come and to tell them the truth, the full truth, and whatnot, but he won't help catch the killer, because the killer is doing good work taking down dark souls who are trying to keep down light souls. Because somehow we got into magical realism.
Man, what is though?
So they're like, who is this guy? He gives him his name. So he's all like, yeah, he has like an alibi. He's not your guy, but here's his name so you can look into him. Good times. So the words ran on his wall were, the time for secrets is over, tell my story, save your soul. Right. So this is when they learned that the killer must have known they were going there, and they didn't decide that until late the night before. And also saved Donnie and Logan, therefore the killer must be watching them. Carl, I'm calling him Carl. Carl, believes it's the ghost of Evans. He left, a small pack of nails as well behind. They're like, that's evidence! Freaking out. There's a mixture of types of nails in the bag, larger ones, like the ones they found in, Lawrence's stomach. And so this is when we get details of what happened to Robert the day he died. Including, they fed him nails and made him swallow them. Remember what I said, remember the thing about the nails?
Yeah.
This is why you have to remember about the nails. So the sheriff himself shoved the nails into Robert's mouth, making himself. While Robert was crying, begging them to stop trying to plead his innocence. Carl himself tried to stop them, and one of the deputies pistol whipped him in the face and left him bleeding in the corner.
Man, what the hell?
I would like to know this guy is also like chewing like 2 things of nicotine gum at the same time, as this is all happening, and then swallows it, and then pops more in his mouth. Just to get you the vibe on this guy.
Are you supposed to swallow nicotine gum?
So, Robert, the nail sliced through his esophagus, and was spitting up blood, and then, I don't want to go into detail, but basically, the sheriff had the deputies use their batons to rape him.
Oh.
And then, literally it is described as he bled out from both ends.
Oh.
And then the sheriff beat him the rest of the way to death once everyone had their turn at depravity.
Oh.
Carl told Johnson everything, and he said it was small town justice and he had real killers to track down.
Oh.
And then Burroughs says Johnson knew all along because there was no surprise on his face when he told him. They came to him later that night and they told me if I wanted to tell what I saw, they'd repeat the performance on me. He then left town, finished out his residency elsewhere, and then moved to the field of forensics because bugs are safer than people. And then he says Evans was innocent. He didn't kill those women. This is where we learn that the killer was left-handed, and there was no way he could have done the killings because Kyle slammed his hand in a locker as a joke. It was described as a joke, and that's why Victoria broke up with him. She yelled at him in front of the school. 3 months later, Robert Evans was convicted of those murders. Quickest hearing process in the history of murder cases, and 2 kills occurred the very week after his left hand was broken. They wouldn't listen to the science. They only listened to the pompous prick, Agent Johnson. Sheriff Cannon just wanted someone to prosecute. Who else would have known what happened to Evans? And he says no one who would talk. Most of the deputies were involved, and Kyle Davenport, of course, he was there. I heard rumors he did basically the same thing to the kids, only he didn't bring the nails for that night. They ask if there any chance that Kyle's left-handed, and he is. They suspected it's probably not Kyle because he was only 19, and that seems too young to go that depraved, like that violent, so fast and all this stuff. But like also, there's evidence of him doing violent acts already in the same time frame. So what are you talking about? He already had it in him. Shut the fuck up. Leonard starts hinting that this is where he's like hinting not to Logan, but to us as the reader, that he thought it was Lana, but after hearing all this information, he thinks it's impossible. I'm pretty sure they're bang. I don't remember. Okay. Lana's back to hanging out with Jake. Oh my god, my back. Whew. Oh, carrying this whole book on my back is a lot of work. So they're lurking in a car parked in the shadows, watching the long line from the Sin House, the haunted house thing, right? You'd think people would realize this little one-night show gets more attention or action than anything in town all year long. It should attest to the fact that sick people around here are dark and demented from years of oppression. They have a conversation about coincidences and her brother and all this stuff. Logan walks by searching for Kyle. So they are perfectly hidden amongst other cars and have a sensor alert for if anyone gets too close. She recognizes that the FBI is probably waiting for Kyle, planning to watch him if anyone pays him any attention. She's already knows him and he's right in the middle of the line. And, her stomach whirls every time she sees him, sees his face. So, she refuses to keep looking. This will be the hardest one to find control. I'll want to slice the flesh from his body over and over and over. Rage will be evident. Unless I completely skin that fucker. Remember when I brought up flaying people in the messages?
Yeah.
It's coming soon. It's coming soon, bestie.
Don't worry, I did not forget.
You mean you don't forget about the fact that she flays a man alive? Wow, that's so surprising. Bella, what are you doing?
Being a Bella dog with fungus ears. That's what she's doing.
So, Kyle's with a random woman, squeezing her ass in the line. She doesn't look happy that she's there. We learned from Lana's POV, that when she dated Kyle, he was too rough, but, he must be only worse now, given the shiner on, this woman's eye.
Bro.
So Kyle steps closer to the front line with Chad, as well as another deputy named Trevor. There's two more deputies near the front. Those two will survive for tonight anyways. They're on the kill list, but I think it'd be a little overly ambitious to try and take out 5 in one night. After all, I'm just one little girl. So Jake hands her wig/mask, which includes, it's a Michael Myers mask. Remember how her last name's Myers and it's Halloween night?
Yes.
I didn't get this joke. I did not get this joke until I was mostly done with the book. But basically, multiple people saw her wearing this Myers mask, doing what she's about to do. And all they can describe is that she's wearing a whole Michael Myers costume. And her chosen last name is Myers, meaning she literally was telling them who she is, and just nobody noticed. She's so good!
Well, these bitches are stupid, so...
She makes sure that her disguise has padding, so it hides her build and weight. She has a syringe. They'll have to tag team Kyle to ensure Logan doesn't catch her elbow deep in his leg. Good times. So, she takes over for some random girl in the corner, right? The girl thinking that she is part of the, group of people there to work there, right? She brought a power saw with her, and she plugs it in. Trevor's the first one she sees, so, there's only strobe lights for lighting, and there's fog machines, so she grabs onto Trevor, and she takes a knife and plunges it into his chest and tosses him into the corner. Everyone is watching this happen and think it's fake and part of the scene. One teenager even shouts, "That's so fake, nice try, Deputy Byron, stick to your day job." As he's bleeding out, Kyle is in the back, unsurprisingly lingering at what is called the whorehouse. The spot she's in is called the liar box. She picked it on purpose. Right, so he's just slowly bleeding to death. And then that's when Chad comes into view, and she's like revving up her chainsaw, or power saw, pretending to be a creepy guy, right? She's just like acting into it. She's going full force into the creep factor, right?
Why not, you know?
Yeah, right. Chad gets closer as Kyle's still at the whorehouse, watching two girls make out with fake blood dripping from their nipples through their white shirts.
Let me not be unhinged and deranged.
I know, right? Chad eyes her, confused as why her particular costume is in play. She walks up to him, and everyone else is like screaming, running around, rushing by, screaming like I'm an insane serial killer. Well, ... So with one quick thing, she takes Chad to the ground. Everyone's freaking out, thinking again it's fake. Chad quickly realizes, oh shit, but it's too late. as she takes the power saw and digs it into him, turning it on full power. She cuts it into his abdomen, spilling his intestines for all to see. People are screaming, rushing by, and taking pictures, thinking it's all special effects.
Are these people just that stupid? Like,
apparently, Kyle nears, and she whispers to Chad, "I'm Victoria Evans, the daughter of the man you killed, the sister to the boy you let die, the victim you turned into a monster, and I'm going to fucking kill you all." So, he's trying to keep his intestines inside. It's not working. Kyle notices this and thinks and recognizes it's real. He's seen enough blood to know what's actually happening. The girl with him turns and runs, right? And he tries to run as well, but the power saw is not turned on right now, but she does swing it at his head and knock him out. You know what she also brought with her? Lye. Which is a thing used to make soap, but is also very corrosive and toxic.
Yes.
Hi! There's a dog back in bed. Right?
I want dogs in bed.
Kyle's knocked out from getting hit in the head. She takes the lye and dumps it on Trevor's body. Also she covered Trevor with like a sheet, and then just like tucking him in for his last sleep, and then dumps all the lye all over him. Good times. She drags Kyle by the foot to this secret tunnel she cut out. She has a mask under her mask to prevent fumes from getting in, but the customers are like freaking out because like they don't have that and it's toxic, so they're like running. And so no one notices her dragging the unconscious Kyle to the box with the hole cut out right in the floor and pushing him out. So the girlfriend runs out alone. It's now or never. And she drags Kyle out with her. There's a few non-people, like people, just random town people who are seeing this happen, right? And she puts her finger up to her lips, telling them to keep it secret. And the woman pales and turns away. Doesn't make a move or say a word. And then Kyle comes out of their van, wearing a mask as well, and pulls him into the van. She takes the syringe she has and pushes it into Kyle, making sure he's out. So Jake drives away with Kyle as she walks into the woods nearby, covered in the blood of the deputies. So the trail will say she went that way, and they'll go that way looking for Kyle. Don't worry, she completely ruined the crime scene with all the lye. So yeah, they can't tell what was there before and what the killer brought in with her and all this stuff. Good times. Lisa thinks that the killer's targeting everyone in her way, instead of just the people that like are on the list. Good times. The sheriff has called in a canine unit, and most of the deputies are in the woods trying to follow the blood trail. And Leonard says that he thinks this was planned. It's not like the killer just devolving and whatnot. Because Chad was an officer 10 years ago, and so was Trevor. They were a part of what happened to Robert. And Lisa thinks that's just a coincidence.
The way these people have not put it together when it's so obvious.
I know, right? Leonard says that the killer could have hurt the girlfriend of Kyle, who alerted the other two deputies what was going on. She didn't, so she's in control of the kills. Lisa now is like annoyed that they also think that the killer is a girl, and is all like, oh, we can't do this to our profiler. What's the point of profiling? And Logan's like, not adjusting the profile makes it just as pointless. And you start thinking like Johnson. And she glares at him. And And so he starts talking to Elise. Yeah, so basically people just saw Michael Myers guy, Big Show. No, like, cohesive description of the killer's size. Some say over 6 feet, some like 5 feet. Like, it's all over the board. Good times. I'm repositioning because my knees hurt.
Yeah.
So they believe the girlfriend let the killer take Kyle because she doesn't like, they question her some more, right? And they noticed that she has some bruises that were there before that night. Like, they want to be that purple already, all this stuff, right? So she took a long time getting outside, longer than it should have taken, which means she must have turned around and watched. And she's like, yeah, I did. And so they're like, okay, but did you notice the hole where the killer, like, pushed him through and all this stuff to escape? Because it would have been fast for the deputies to go around outside and stop them that way, than to stop them by going through the large group of people inside. And she says, no, I didn't notice it, but it was, like, directly in her eye view, so they think that she let the killer take Kyle.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, right? And they're like, okay, well, it's pretty obvious that Kyle abused her, and they just had to look more into her. I don't know if I highlighted it, but there's, like, this whole thing where, like, they've broken up, like, 3 times, and every time she ends up in the hospital afterwards, and all this stuff. So, you know, I don't blame her. So, basically, they're noticing that the way things go in this town are changing. People are listening more to the killer than they are to the sheriff, and their loyalties are shifting. Logan's like, yeah, okay, but, like, she's actually killing people. That's a lot more than speaking out against justice, or injustice. And Leonard says killing was the only option for girls, because speaking only ever got these people killed or worse. And so now Logan's questioning his loyalties, which he didn't think he'd have to worry about all this stuff. So he's noticing that a lot of them are feeling sympathy or empathy for the killer and all this stuff. And he himself is even struggling to give a damn about finding Kyle before it's too late. So you want to know what Lana's excuse for being gone while she tortures Kyle is? She says that there was a break-in at her house, and Duke called her to come see if anything was taken. And he's like, a homicide detective asking about possible burglary, and she says the cops couldn't reach her on her phone because her house number was the number the security company had, but Duke had her cell and knew that she was out of town. She says it'll be a quick trip. He's worried that the sheriff may actually try to attack her out of the county and whatnot. So he tries to make her stay, and she's like, I'm already halfway there, but I will be put back as soon as I can. Then Leonard goes, just curious, how much do you know about Lana? He is like, why do you ask? And he shrugs back, saying, no reason. That's suspicious, that's weird. They realize that the killer would have had to drag Kyle, and while there's like a bunch of blood in the pathway into the woods, there's no dragging marks, which means that the only way that the killer got Kyle out and also went through that pathway into the woods is if the killer has a partner. Bum bum bum. Okay, so this is the part. This is the part where Lana tortures. I gotta stop saying torches instead of tortures. Oh my god, tortures Kyle. With Jake's help. Now here's the thing. Throughout the scene, she is. I'm just gonna give you the very basic details. She skins him alive.
Oh.
Like
I know.
Like you knew. Slowly skins him alive, making sure to only take the top layer so that he's not bleeding too much and all this stuff. As as Jake holds him down. Also, he's in a room that all the floors, the walls, the ceiling, all mirrors. So he has to watch what's being done to him. Like, you know, the way.
Yeah.
And then, all this stuff. But throughout the scene where she's filleting this bitch, right, she is also having flashbacks to that night. And so this is when we get most amount of details about that night. I will not be going into detail. I'm going to scroll through my highlights to make sure there's not, like, important details that I forget. But, yeah, so she's, having flashbacks to that, sobbing as she's filleting him, and taunting him back with his own taunts from that night. As he has to watch himself go through this. Oh, also the, mirrors are bulletproof, so his hand is a bloody mess from trying to break through it. Also she made sure to, do it so this building that they're in is very small. The, area that he's in is very small. She may have found the perfect killing spot near her house. And built an underground tomb full of mirrors just for him, just for his death. Because he has a fear of enclosed spaces. Which is funny. Jake has already removed all his clothing, and the sight of Kyle's naked body makes her want to throw up. The alibi she has, right? So Duke was very nice to her and cooperative because he feels bad about the whole boogeyman thing, right? He's watching her house, convinced that she's inside right now, and if he tries to knock on the door to see if she's there, and she doesn't come, she has her phone on her, and so he'll call her phone, and she'll say she's on a jog, she had to get out of the house and whatnot, because of everything that happened there. Yeah, basically they have all this whole plan. Jake says he's worried that when the time comes, Logan isn't going to choose you the way you keep choosing him. I worry that he'll never understand and only see the fault and not the good. I worry he doesn't truly love you enough to give you what I would give Marcus. And I worry that you'll let him kill you before you fight to stay alive. Every day, I worry more, because I love you like Marcus loved you. You're my only family, Anna. You're all I have. And Marcus might actually rise from the grave to kill me himself, if I see this happening and do nothing about it.
What the fuck?
So she enters the room to start the playing. Kyle doesn't notice her at first. But then, he's all like, he knows who she is as Logan's girlfriend. So he's all like, wait a second, the feds are behind this, that's fucked up, all this stuff, I'll make sure, my father will, take you all down. And she's all like, oh, the feds have done do this, don't you remember me? And he's all like, you're the feds' girlfriend, and all this stuff, calling her fragile and all this stuff. So he starts yelling, thinking he's yelling at Logan, but then, there's a overcom thing magically that Jake turns on and says, actually the feds are hours away, Davenport, hope that you don't expect Daddy to save you tonight. And which causes Kyle to tense. Looking around, he recognizes Jake's voice, yet hasn't placed mine. Well, that's just insulting.
Oh.
Yeah, she's insulted that he recognizes Jake's voice but not hers. So basically, he tries to attack her, she buys him real quick. Good times. He's on the ground. He's all like, who the fuck are you? The nursery rhyme music starts playing. Good times. So he recognizes that she's the Scarlet Slayer. And then she's like, I'm the girl you thought you broke. I'm the girl you took too much from. I'm the girl you thought you killed. I'm the girl who finally ends your reign of terror. And he's all like, oh my god. And then she's like, I'm gonna let you watch every fucking second of it, just like you did for Marcus. And that's when he's like, oh shit. So she calls him weak, and then she feels bad about the fact that she was a victim of him, and so many other women were, when he's just a weak man. Oh, I just read a line about the things that happened in the past, and I'm not reading it to you, but good god. Oh, so part of it, he taunted her about, throwing up.
What the hell?
Yeah.
You're actively, obviously, gonna get murdered, and you're still like, haha,
Oh, he taunts the pastor about throwing up, from that night. And then also that night, he told her, you see, I know your dad never had the balls to kill those women, I just don't care, now take it, Victoria, take it, and shut the hell up. He also tells her that she'll enjoy it like she used to.
What is this?
And then she starts crying, remembering when the doctors told her that the damage was so bad that in order to keep her alive, they had to do an emergency hysterectomy. Oh, okay, and great, also, a line from past him is, your father was weak, he cried as my dad's guys took turns, oh, let me tell you everything they did, and how your father cried like a little bitch. This is also the point where Kyle states that, Marcus must enjoy it because he's gay. Of course, he doesn't use the word gay, he uses the F word, but... And then they just talk about anal? Like, all these guys just talk about anal. And then they're complaining that she's not tight enough anymore. She's too worn out.
In what world?
I know, right? And then more things. It's just really bad. Just take my word for it and know that it is really bad what he does. Very bad.
I'm taking your word for it.
He tries to close his eyes from seeing this happen to himself, and so she says, "We have a long way to go. And you're going to be awake for all of it, even if I have to sew your eyelids open, so you choose if that's necessary or not." Basically, she tortures him all night, playing him. She's still taunting him. God, I'm just scrolling, reading more and more. Oh, one of the last things he said to her is, "It'll be like this never happened, Victoria, because you don't matter, and my father will still be the one they all fear, while you rot in your grave with your F-word brother and pussy father." And she taunts him that, his father's turn is coming, and there's nothing he can do, and all this stuff. Yay! It's like first thing in the morning, and she climbs into bed with Logan. He, doesn't recognize it's her at first, because he's, like, half asleep. So he goes to, like, attack whoever's in bed with him, and then when he recognizes it's her, he's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I almost hit you." He's, like, freaking out. So then, they are making out, she's in his lap, there's some grinding action when Lisa just walks in.
Can Lisa go somewhere?
I know, right? She's like, "Oh, sorry," and Lana's like, "I'll bet." She doesn't even leave his lap. She's like, "I'm just gonna stay here." He asks what Lisa wants, and she says she didn't know Lana was there, and so Lana asks, "So it's okay for you to walk into my boyfriend's room without knocking if I'm not here?" He recognizes her tone. It's like really cold and dark, and that's not normal. Devoid of emotion. And that her anger is too high too easily. What's going on? So Lisa decides, "Oh shit, good time to say, I guess old habits die hard, considering I used to walk into his room all the time. Sometimes we forget we're not together anymore." Logan's all like, "Hey, I never forget." Try to keep Lana from thinking otherwise. And then Lana threatens that she could remind her sometime. And that's when Hadley comes in and clears her throat, glaring at Lana. And he's all like, "I'm so happy that everyone is seeing Lana on my lap while in only my boxers. This is great professionalism." And then Hadley notes that, tells Lisa she shouldn't try to piss her, Lana off when she doesn't even have a true interest in Logan. And then glares at Lana. And then says that the sheriff called a town meeting in the park. Says wants everyone there, trying to send every single civilian or citizen in town out on a search for Kyle. Now that there's daylight. They believe he was, because of the partner stuff, there was a vehicle, right, that took Kyle, but, like, the sheriff says that, there's no way that there was a vehicle because no one saw a vehicle, but they're all recognizing the town's turning on him and won't say anything to him anymore. They don't care.
LOL.
And also they don't care about his son.
Good, as they should.
So, he's all like, "Hey, can you guys, like, leave the room so I can get rest?" And Lisa starts saying, like, "I haven't seen you in less."
Stop being annoying, like...
I know, right? Lana smiles creepily, and then Hadley says, "I'll get her out of here," and points at Lana, saying, "Nothing happens." It's really funny when their just friendship is very funny to me. Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Alright, they kiss more. She says she doesn't mind Lisa. She is used to it now. But he's like studying her and knows something's off. And she's distant somehow, and is questioning if she's okay. Um, she says she's had a long night, but she's feeling better by the second. Um, says that it's like you're magical or something. Reminding me I'm human. A reminder after every killing recently, she's been going to Logan, and as Logan holds her or they have sex, she feels like she's being healed, and that's how she switches from killer persona to normal Lana persona. But they haven't had the time to do that because Lisa barged in. So now she's still killer persona, and he's just like, what is happening here? She just says she hasn't got a lot of sleep, right? And he tells her to stay with Hadley and whatnot. He tries to decipher what's going on in her head. I almost want to ditch this day and just spend it in bed with her, wishing I could offer her the same escape she's so often given me. She tells him to go. He notices she's worn like red every day they've been in town. And he's like, why? And she's like, I just tossed a bunch of clothes in my bag. Apparently I picked stuff from my red section. And he's like, red section? You have a red section? And she says she has a massive closet that has to be organized somehow. And then she skips out of the room.
That's so real.
So Leonard is waiting for him outside, and says that Lisa looked pleased with herself when she left. He questions what Lana did about that. And so he gives her the full-length answer, and then says Lana always surprises me with her reactions. And Leonard says it takes a lot of control not to react in the heat of the moment. And then asks if he can ask something, and asks how he really feels about the killer if you found out her identity today and heard her out. Would you really be able to lock her away, knowing there'd never be any justice without her? And then he says, pretend you're not FBI for just a minute. Pretend you're a person who has witnessed the worst humanity and seen good in the monsters. And he tells this whole story about his sister's, Leonard does, his sister's best friend Katie, who, this is the weird tangent part, okay? At like 80% of the way through the book, his sister's best friend Katie, dated this drug dealer, not only drug dealer, but head honcho drug dealer in this town, right? But he may have been a drug dealer, but he wouldn't sell drugs to kids, and anyone who did sell drugs to kids or tried to, he cut off their heads, hands, and feet and threw them in the lake. So most of the police force were fine with him because they knew if they took him down, another one would take his place, and at least this one doesn't try to give drugs to kids, right? Baby! Now, what's her name? Katie knew none of this until a random police officer gets him on a misdemeanor, and he goes to jail, and she learns the truth about everything. And so she breaks up with him, and starts dating this normal accountant guy who seems like he's done nothing wrong in his whole entire life, until he starts beating her. She tries to leave him a few times, and, whatnot. I think after this is when they learn about Kyle's girlfriend. Similarly, whenever she tries to leave, he puts her in the hospital type thing, right? Is that a kiki? So parallels in that, but basically, eventually, drug dealer guy X gets out of prison, and he goes to hunt her down and finds the accountant, and so then the police find the accountant, because she tries to go to the police multiple times, but they do nothing, even when she goes to the hospital from like multiple broken bones and all this stuff. Good times. Police eventually find the accountant with no head, arms, or hands or feet in the lake, and they start dating again. Him and or drug dealer, and Katie, and he treats her like a god, and like she's everything to him, and they have kids, and they're happily ever after, right? And basically, the moral of the story, um, that that Katie subdued the real monster by loving the man and accepting all of him. I'm saying I hope our girl has someone doing the same for her. Otherwise, she may lose herself to all of this, and it won't be the ending she deserves. Um, I don't know. Maybe Leonard knows something. I think Leonard knows something.
I think he knows.
Um,
I don't know if he knows, but he knows something.
Right,
Kiki?
Logan's like, okay, what is the sheriff saying? And basically, the sheriff is blatantly threatening the whole entire town, abusing his authority, and Johnson is letting it go. And then Lisa shows up saying Kyle is really sick. And then Logan says, so are you. Ever tried that shit on Lana again? And I'll make sure they demote you to some bullshit unit that deals mostly in paperwork and estimation. And she's like freaked out. She's like, what? Do something like that. And then he's all like, what about Kyle ignoring Lisa? And then he's like, I'll have her ass shipped to another unit regardless. So since Kyle has gone missing, 5 other women have already told us this morning what he did to them in Haunted House over the years. And his girlfriend met them in private, and says, that usually he makes a second girl join them on nights he gets really drunk. And basically the whole, similar to Katie thing, where like, the 3 times she broke up with him, she ended up in ER type thing. And so there's no question, like they have no clue where Kyle is, and they're all questioning if they really should put the killer behind bars, even him himself, all this stuff. Okay. He recognized that this all sucks, but there's probably no way she can walk away from this. She'll probably end up in an asylum, instead of prison. But she's too dangerous to leave on the streets. Good times. Sheriff is threatening the town some more. Logan thinks that the killer is actually a psych patient, and the partner is the one in control, telling her what to do. And he thinks the partner in control is Jake. That's his theory. So he thinks that we should go to psych hospitals with the profile.
What is happening? Where did this come from? Like,
I don't know. Logan's all like, well, she
like,
must not be the dominant killer because she's a woman. Therefore, it must be her partner.
When did they kill people? I don't understand.
And it's like, yes, her partner is Jake, but he's not the dominant one, you idiot.
Like, you're close, but you're not there.
Yeah.
Like, you're almost there. Like, 2 inches to the left.
So, all of a sudden, the bells start ringing at the church, which is odd because it's 6:15 in the morning, and they only chime on the hour. And then everyone looks, and there's a large, curious harp-like bag hanging from the bell tower of the church, and rope tied to one of the clock hands on the tower, and once it hits 6:16, the bag opens and something swings out. It's Kyle's body. It's Kyle's body.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, the deputy, the sheriff is like freaking out, like falling on the ground. The deputies are running to the church. He's like Logan is about to throw up. No one's like 100% sure it's Kyle, but like it's Kyle. The rope holds his neck, and his naked, fleshless body dangles from the tower as the bells chime on. If she wanted to make a statement that would incite a full-blown panic, she just won the war.
Yeah.
The killer knew this park would be crowded down with people at this time, even though the meeting was impromptu. They know the sheriff. They knew what he would do before he even did it. The castrated corpse sways, crashing against the brick on occasion, and I can't look away. Who is capable of something this depraved and dark without being psychotic? Then he asks Leonard if he still thinks she should have a happy life. And he says, I expected him to be found in the worst condition. He orchestrated it all, anyways. They have more of an argument about her psychosis, blah, blah, blah. So Lisa comes jogging back saying, yes, he's skinned and castrated, but also, all 10 fingers are missing as well. I forgot to bring this up. She slowly, one by one, cut off his fingers and then tried to make him swallow them. And then when he threw back up, that's when she taunted him about her throwing up on that night. And then, also, another new thing, she sewed his eyes open. Remember when she said that if he couldn't keep his eyes open, she'd sew them open? She did. She sewed his eyes open.
I just got jump scared by my own belt falling in my pocket.
And then it cuts to Lana, as Hadley's all like, you can't hurt Lisa, as she's throwing knives at pictures of Lisa on the wall. Okay, a lot of stuff where Lisa's explaining that the reason why she's still dark and cold is because she hasn't had her time with Logan to, pull herself back down to reality. And also, killing Kyle like that took a lot out of her, especially since it only happened in like a few hours. Her next plan is to kill the sheriff, but she wants to wait. Like, she doesn't want to wait too long, but she wants to wait for him to live in the knowledge that his son is dead and all this stuff, right? Also, she recognizes the town is now following her instead of the sheriff and says, "Bah, bitches." Remember when I sent you that message?
Yeah.
She wants to go full force endgame, but she knows she can't. So there's like some more snarky fighting with Lisa and Lana, where Lisa is like putting her hands all over Logan, and Logan's like being like, "What the fuck?" and all this stuff. And Hadley's like, "You can't kill her. Don't make another crime scene, please. That's a lot of fucking work for me." And so Lisa walks by her and says it's sad that she has to hurt the team by needing a constant babysitter. And so Lana spits out her gum into Lisa's hair. So Lana walks up to Logan. They start kissing, making out in the middle of the street. The sheriff is very angry, saying that my son is dead and you're making out with your girlfriend after they just cut down his body. He charges Logan while two deputies charge as well. Logan takes down the sheriff. Right. Leonard takes one of the deputies, and on instinct, Lana takes down the other deputy. Right. Actually, I think Leonard tackles the one that she takes down with like her heel palm thing. And then Donnie wrangles the other one. Leonard meets her eyes, and she's like in panic, and so she's like, reflexes, and he's like, nice reflexes. They arrest the deputies and the sheriff. And Johnson's like, you can't arrest the sheriff, and Leonard's like, he just attacked a federal agent, just as they did. The one that attacked Lana says, I didn't attack a federal agent. And so Leonard's like, no, you tried to attack a defenseless woman. And then she's all like, I hate being called a defenseless woman. It's rather insulting. So Johnson's really pissing her off, and she's still in murder mode. So she decides, I'm just gonna go on a little jog. And calls up Jake and tells him to talk her down. And so he says, just out of the blue, ducks have corkscrew penises. Come over and I'll show you pictures. And that's the consensus where he makes jokes of random fun facts until she comes over so that he can talk her down, right? Oh god, we're at the second to last chapter. Ooh, okay. Johnson won the war on the rest, but he's running out of juice, and it's one more strike against him in the file Collins is currently preparing. Logan calls up Lana. She says she went on a run because she doesn't like being annoyed, but she was getting annoyed, in hopes he's okay. He says he's fine, blah, 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 scrolling. She goes silent, and he asks, what do you need? And she says, this afternoon, if you get a chance, do you think we could spend a couple hours together? And he's like, it's the first time she ever asked that. Usually it's me asking her to bend her life around my crazy schedule, not to mention put up with possible death threats. He says he can take the whole afternoon. He can't actually do that, and she knows that, so she's just like, just a couple hours. There's a lot of chatter outside. She says she'll be back at 7, and then she'll be his for the rest of the night. Good times. He goes outside, and apparently the amnesia gone, and suddenly everyone wants to tell the tale of what happened 10 years ago, along with everything that's been going on before and since then. We're gonna be taking statements for the rest of the night. And there's people lined up down the street. All the stuff. Logan's supposed to go to the Emmy to get the report on Kyle with Donnie, but Donnie can't make it. So Leonard is going with him. Good times. And so they're driving there when he notices something's up with Leonard, and so he's like, "What's wrong?" And Leonard says, "I have a feeling you're not going to like the next part I tell you." And he says, "What part?" And so he stops at a stoplight. Leonard says Alan has been getting watched closely by the doctor, so I had an old friend do some extra research. I found out that Jacob Denver has another business he's basically a silent partner in. Remember how I told you I had a theory, but thought I was wrong, but then we found out our unsub has a partner? Does the name Kennedy Carlisle sound familiar to you? The original name of the woman who Alana stole the identity of?
Yes. Yes, I know that.
He says shit, that was the name of the drunk drivers who were behind the wheel of the car that killed Jasmine Evans. They orphaned a daughter who was young, same age as Victoria, actually. Their birthdays were even close together. Her name was Kennedy. He notices that Leonard's acting nervous. At first, I thought it was just serendipitous. I've been to the hospital to ask about Victoria Evans, but when I said a 16-year-old girl involved in a car crash on the date, they said they already spoken to one FBI agent about her. I got confused, and until they handed me the file of Kennedy Carlisle instead of Victoria Evans, couldn't show me much, but they hit the highlights. And he brings up that Hallie Grace called them about Kennedy, pretty typical of her. Saying, oh, so then Leonard climbs into the backseat because he's worried about what Logan will do, and he wants to be out of hitting range. And then he brings up that Hadley always researches any girl that Logan gets involved with, and he's like, I know that, but I haven't gotten involved with anyone other than Lana in a long time, and Kennedy isn't someone I recognize. And he says she was in the same hospital, same night as Victoria Evans, the same night she and Marcus Evans died. And that he found really coincidental considering her parents were the reason Jasmine Evans died, so I dug into it a little. Kennedy Carlisle changed her name a long time ago, 10 years ago to be exact. She also left the hospital against doctor's order the next day after her life-saving surgery. Before I tell you this, you should know there is no romantic involvement with any other man going on. I researched that very, very thoroughly. In fact, she's had very few romantic involvements over the year. And then he says, she left with Jacob Denver. The two of them own a buy, sell, and trade store online, and Kennedy Carlisle now goes by Lana Byers.
LOL.
So, Logan's like, there's no way the killer's Lana. And then, Leonard's like, yeah, I thought the same. And then I read the reports on Clemens from the autopsy. Lana had a few bruises. Clemens was loaded down with them. A man who had easily subdued so many women in the past just ran over a knife after taking a beating. We just never looked into it because Hadley, and then Hadley, her stepfather, all that stuff. She believes in whatever Lana has told her about the crusade. After what Hadley went through, it's not surprising. I understand it too, but I don't understand how she can be proxy but not be suffering any signs of psychotic break. I feel like I'm missing something because she thinks that she's a proxy killer. Because there's no one alive who could, like, Victoria Evans is dead. So she must be a proxy killer for Victoria Evans because she was in the hospital around the same time and had similar birthdays, and her parents happened to kill her mother. So it must be a proxy killing. The way they're so close. Logan turns around on the car and says, don't tell anyone yet, I want a confession. And Leonard's like, I said don't do anything stupid, Logan. And he's freaking out because he thinks, I've loved a killer who I knew nothing about. I loved a girl who was obsessed with a dead family to the extent of killing or manipulated by a man who preyed on her psychosis. He thinks either she thinks she's a proxy killer killing for Victoria, or that Jacob manipulated her after her having already psychosis to do the killings for him. God, this is the part that broke me. Be prepared. So, Lana's stepping out of the bathroom, adjusting her towel, when Logan steps through the bedroom door. She's all like, wow, you gave me, a heart attack. He's not really saying anything, and then, suddenly he's kissing her. But, like, it's not his normal kisses. They're, like, painful. And then, they're banging. But it's not. She's like, I love you. She's saying I love you a bunch of times. And he's banging her, but she recognizes this is anger banging. He knows. He knows the truth.
Why lies, Trust?
And I quote, and he's using me one last time, punishing me because he knows, but he still doesn't know the whole truth. And she's just sobbing as this is happening. Afterwards, she's like, you know? So he handcuffs her to the headboard. As she's naked, she's still sobbing. He's slowly getting dressed. And then he's all like, I shouldn't have done that, but then again, I should have known I was sleeping with a killer for the past several months. He's very angry. Just wait. Okay, you ready? I'm not prepared to read this shit again. Ready? I want everyone to know, Stingray replied, no. No, they're not ready. Okay. So she tries to explain, because he thinks that, again, she's a proxy, or she's being told to do this by someone else, right? Right? So she tries to explain the truth to him. But he painfully closes her mouth, blocking her from saying anything. And I quote, silencing me. It was the worst part of it all. Being silenced because no one wanted to hear. Now the one person I've opened myself up enough to kill is silencing me. Quoting Stingray, OMG, stop. He still thinks, I can't stop. He still thinks she's Kennedy Carlisle. This whole time, I know you hate me, I hate me too. This whole time, she's begging for her, killer numbness to take over her body, so she doesn't have to feel this pain. And so it starts to take over as she thinks Jake was right. Logan never would have chosen me. He just proved it. He didn't even ask. He didn't even care. We're getting to the very close to. We're at the very end. We're at the very end. Okay. So she goes after he leaves. She goes on autopilot. Easily picks the lock in the handcuffs. He gets out. She wants to go fully numb, but in order to do that, she's gonna have to kill more people, and she's like, I don't have enough time for that. All this stuff. I'm not usually too good at picking locks, but apparently having your heart ripped out is some extra incentive to get it right. She climbs out of bed, gets dressed, grabs her things, packs her bag, casually walks out of the cabin, so there looks like she has no reason to hurry and run away. And Logan already said, don't tell anyone about this, so nobody knows. My mind is almost blank. Even as fresh tears fall, the coldness grows stronger. As soon as I make it to the newest place Jake has set up since abandoning his father's hunter's cabin, I find my best friend. I have to open up the app to look at this. What are you sending me? A bunch of... sending me a bunch of memes. I see. You can't send me any groups of memes because apparently it breaks the computer desktop version of Instagram. Okay, ready for the last lines of this book. Let's go. Don't say say no. Don't say no. His eyes come up and his features pale as I drop to my knees and my body giving out as it starts to shake with the silent pain I'm working so hard to suppress. I thought love would rip my heart out. I thought it would set me on fire. Instead, it turned me into ice. And that is the end of book 4. Stingray says, and I quote, killing myself. Now you understand why I felt like I could run a marathon after reading this shit. Because how am I supposed to live after that ending? He purposely silences her, after hate banging her, after learning most of the truth, when she tries to explain the truth to him. And I'm scared this is her psychotic break that makes her go full murder. Okay? Like they were talking about this whole book. Like, the next book is titled Painted All Red. I'm assuming it's talking about the town, painting the whole town red. Again, I'm worried. And my voice is dying from talking so long about these books. Would you like to type in your final thoughts and opinions about the 4th book in the series, the book I rated 5 stars, the book that has emotionally destroyed me for the day? I'm gonna have to make so much calming tea to read the last book. I'm gonna be nervous all weekend until we can record again. It's gonna be... And I quote, what the hell? Thank you. Yeah, accurate. I would ask you if you have any final thoughts, but you can't reply because your audio sucks right now. So I'm going to say no for you. So no. Don't you? Thank you for praying for me. Don't you love this book? Don't you love it so much? Don't you just feel so sane right now and not traumatized? God. I know, God, mindfuck is a good term. I didn't bring it up, but at one point, she does, in her head, Lana does say that, this whole thing is a mindfuck. I laugh. I know this is so me-coded. Anyways, I'm ending the recording. This is already excessively long. For some reason.